there's been like a high mortality rate this season. You know, there's President Palmer is gone, you know, which enabled Dennis Haysbert to go off with David Mamet and save the world on another network. Tony Almeida and
Michelle Bessler.
Yeah, and Sean Astin's character.
Those were all in the first episode.
Yeah, and Edgar, who was so beloved by fans. You know, how much can you do this to strive for a kind of realism without alienating the audience, do you think?
You know, I mean, that was the big question in the first year when they killed my wife, Leslie Hope, who was such an extraordinary actor. And I remember thinking, I remember it's Gail Berman, who was in charge of the network at the time, and Joel Surnow, who's in charge of our show. I said, you're making a terrible mistake. You can't expect an audience to stick with you for 24 episodes and then fail.
Right.
And I was wrong. I was really wrong. And I remember at Television Critics Award dinner, a gentleman stood up, a member of the press, and said, you know, as angry as I was that you guys let Jack Bauer's wife die, I was grateful at the same time because it so threw me, and it made me think about the show in a different way, and made me think about the show for days, and it really affected me. And so I learned a lot. I think the audiences are incredibly savvy now. I think that they're in all fairness, I actually think they always have been. I think we're just actually finally trying to cater to that aspect, and I think people like a jolt. This is, you know, this is the roller coaster ride. This is not, if you go to Disneyland, this is not, you know, It's a Nice World After All, or whatever that kind of nice little boat ride is. This is the Matterhorn, and people watch this show to have that kind of effect, and I think the writers have done a fantastic job delivering. When you talk about someone like Edgar, though, I'll never forget when he did that scene. It was really one of the most beautifully acted scenes, I think, in 24. And there's this fantastic look that he gives. He's concerned about Chloe, he's concerned about what's happening. He's starting to put the pieces together much later than the audience has already put them together.
Yeah.
He's just behind.
Right.
And he reminds you of every kid that was kind of picked on at school. He reminds you of everyone that was just, and all of us, that one time we were just a little behind.
Right.
And when he actually puts it all together and the penny drops, the very few actors I've ever seen do that well, where when the penny drops for him, oh my God, it dropped. And I remember watching him shoot that. I was getting ready to do a scene right after that, and so I'd come on stage. And I watched him do the last take of that. And I looked at John Cassar and I went, we're dead. We're in a lot of trouble. He just broke my heart. And if he broke my heart, what he's going to do to an audience out there is going to be extraordinary. And I would have to say, of all the people that we've lost on the show, that had the most pronounced reaction.
Yeah. And it's a testament to the show that it got such an extraordinary reaction for a character who in any other series would have been a very, you know, a very minor desk jockey character that you would have a couple of lines. Yeah. I think that's why another reason people have attached themselves so much to Chloe. I mean, heaven forbid.
She's a perfect example. When I talk about the writer's flexibility, what is extraordinary is, you know, I think they've, you know, Joel Surnow really kind of has to get a lot of credit for that, and we have phenomenal casting people. But the actors that they've managed to bring on the show, some of them known, some of them not known, have all been extraordinary. And they'll wait to see what someone's going to do. When Mary Lynn came on the show, that was not a developed part at all. And the same with Edgar. But those actors embraced those characters, and they started to do some interesting stuff with it. Mary Lynn specifically, you know, I'm in the middle of this kind of very intense moment. She's doing this kind of half-comedy thing over on the side. I was like, well, what's that about? And people absolutely fell in love with it. And then for the writers to be able to go down that road with her and that character, and to go down that road with Edgar, that's a wait-and-see kind of deal. And their confidence right now is in such a place that they're actually attacking those moments with great kind of gusto and bravado. And that's a very thin line they walk on every day.
And it's a thing that you play very subtly. I mean, that relationship with Chloe, you know, it could be a boss employee or friends, or, you know, have some kind of implication that's not there, you know, some romantic thing, but it's not at all. You play it so subtly that you really believe these two people working side by side respect each other's jobs and what they do.
Well, and the core root of that dynamic is trust.
Yeah.
Is that, and that's where, and trust is such a kind of enigmatic, huge concept, which is how it can blur the lines of, does he like her? Does he not like her? Why does he need her so badly? Is there something deeper going on between the two of them? And all of those things are just the layers of trust that when push comes to shove, that's the one person he can turn to.
Right.
And so what puts them at odds are the differences in their personality. I remember there was one line that just made me laugh so hard. I had Audrey Raines' character last year in season 4. Her husband, or estranged husband, died because I made a choice to save someone else, and I'm typing at the desk in the next scene frantically, and Chloe says, you know, if you need someone to talk to, I'm there. And I gave her this look, and it was kind of the great balance of our relationship. As two people outside of this professional requirement, we probably would never have shared 2 words.